Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we are currently on an escape trajectory out of the Kerbin system, looking to end our contracts over Eve and be done with Eve. That would be absolutely great at this point. That would be phenomenal. So we might be able to get the surface deployed seismic sensor science with this as well. I don't know if we'll have enough. We'll see. We'll see if that's a viable thing. For right now, let's just go ahead and warp our way out of the system. We can't auto-warp that far, of course. We'll just warp over to here for now. Cool. And that will take us on over to the moon. And away we go. Cool. So next we'll warp over to, well, as soon as we're loaded in here. I did install a Kopernicus update. I want to make sure, yeah, we're still in a safe periapsis here. No problem there. Fantastic. So let's just go ahead and warp up to basically our Kerbin escape. And away we go. Thanks for the gravity assist, Moon. We're loading back into the Kerbin sphere of influence now. Cool. There goes Moon and Kerbin. Beautiful. So, of course, next we're going to do our inclination change as soon as we get into the sphere of influence of the sun. So let's just go ahead and warp forward until we do that. There we go. We're now in space high over the sun. And let's set Eve as our target. The ascending node is all the way over here. Okay. Noted. So we're going to do our inclination change over here. 2.1 degree inclination change is what we need. 363.5 meters per second. So that is going to be almost all of our fuel in this stage, finally. But not quite. Not quite all of it. We're going to use a little bit for our transfer burn. That, of course, means we have way more fuel than we need here. No major shockers there, I suppose. But let's just go ahead and warp on forward here. There we go. We're now basically in position. Cool. We're getting our surface deployed data. Yeah, that's excellent. We're getting lots of it. Unfortunately, we're not getting any of the seismic sensor science. I really thought Eve was tectonically active, but apparently I remembered that incorrectly. Well, that's okay. We're going to be here pretty soon. So if we manage to get, like, the first one splashed down into the ocean, we can use the rest of them to try to get our seismic sensor science. We'll see how viable that is. And we may be able to crash, like, this as well. This doesn't have its own... It doesn't have its own remote guidance unit. So that would be awkward, but maybe. Okay, so our burn is going to start here in about 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and warp forward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and mark. And off we go. Another 5 seconds of burn time here. 2, 1, and 0. Overshot slightly, but that's probably fine. Yeah, that's fine. So we're just going to go ahead and do a braking maneuver here-ish. We'll see where that actually ends up intersecting. That's not ideal. Bringing it around like this. Are we going to have to do a full orbit? It sure looks like it. Yeah, we are. Which is definitely a bit of a yikes. And we would not be doing this at the periapsis. So let's see. The game is frozen right now, isn't it? Oh, no, it's not. Never mind. Let's see about something like that. But I want this to be at the periapsis, right? So let's time it to be a bit more... Because at the periapsis will definitely be the most efficient place to do this. So we're bringing this in to be about here-ish. Okay, what does that encounter actually look like? Actually, That's pretty solid. It's in a pretty polar orbit, which I don't love, but we have plenty of fuel to change that. Let's see about pulling back on this a little bit. Ooh, that's very sensitive. Okay. But something a little bit more along the lines of... Ooh, okay. Very sensitive indeed. More along the lines of this. I do want it to be fairly equatorial. It doesn't have to be perfectly equatorial, but fairly equatorial. And then we bring it in kind of like that. I'd love to have it at about 100,000 kilometers. 100,000 meters. That does mean it's going to be very difficult to actually nail this positioning. And I'll have to be careful about that. So something almost exactly like this, although I would like to make it a little bit more equatorial. So something along the lines of this. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but that's pretty good. That is pretty good right there. I like that encounter. So, we've got 24 meters per second left in this stage, right? Just double checking that the staging is correct, and it does appear to be so. That's good. And this is going to be a bit lengthy of a burn here. Let's get rid of that window. There we go. This will be a bit lengthy of a... not a burn. It'll be a 1 minute 10 second burn. A little lengthy, but it'll be more lengthy of a warp here. So this will be a little bit... I'm going to pause the recording, and we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, and here we are basically at the end of the warp. The auto time warp was just canceled. That was weird. Let's do this again. There we go. Cool. So here we are basically at the end of the warp. And we're just going to commence this burn here in about 10 minutes. It was just canceled again. That's weird. Let's see if this is actually... Okay. No, it lied. It did not cancel the auto warp. Fantastic. We're going to... Oh, it's because of this alarm clock. That's what was going on, wasn't it? Probably. Let's go ahead and warp on forward here a little bit further. We're going to commence this burn in 2, 1, mark. And off we go. That last little bit of burn from our center stage propelling us a little bit further. And now we've got plenty in this tank to do all of the maneuvers we want to do, which is not all that many, to be honest. We can definitely crash this into Eve. There's no doubt about that. And we may actually end up wanting to do that, but it'll probably burn up in the atmosphere, if I had to guess. I don't think it'll actually make it to the surface. Maybe it will. Not having a core on there, that's going to be interesting. I don't know how viable that really is, to be honest. I really don't. I suspect it would not make it to the surface. So I don't think there's a lot of point in doing that. But we can definitely bombard the surface with all of these and try to get some of our equipment readings that way. Okay. So 0.4 meters per second. How's that looking? We do need to bring this in a little further. Okay. So position right about here. And we'll call that probably good enough. Ooh, that's not good enough. Okay. We need to go up we need to go prograde here. And we need to thrust limit this engine. We're going to thrust limit this down to 0.5% thrust. And we're going to very gently burn here. And bring this back up to 100 kilometers. We do not want to be entering the atmosphere like we were there. So this will be fine once we get it back up. There. That'll do. Fantastic. So we can go ahead and unthrust limit this now. And once we get here, we do, of course, at this periapsis, want to circularize. There we go. Something along the lines of this-ish. There, that'll do. Let's change the timing on it slightly. I did not actually want to change the inclination. It's close enough. It'll do. Okay, so we'll align for that burn. And that burn is, of course, going to be in 201 days. So that's fine. We'll go ahead and warp on forward. Starting right about now. Now, this one's going to be another slightly lengthy warp, but nowhere near as long as the last one. So I think it's reasonably fine. The real question is, at this point, will we get tectonic data if we land anywhere on Eve? I know you get more if you land closer to your seismic sensor. So there is that. We do need to finish up our contract by splashing down into the oceans of Eve, right? That's definitely a thing that we need. So that's going to be kind of our goal for our very first one here. And if we hit the... Well, we should try to target somewhat near where our colony is, which is up over here. Interesting that it's so far off the equator. I didn't realize that, but sure. We're going to continue to warp forward here a little bit. We need to enter orbit over Eve, of course. So this burn is going to be commencing shortly. 3, 2, 1, and mark. Fantastic. So let's bring this burn on down. And just make sure that our apoapsis and periapsis are both right around 100 kilometers. That'll be the target here. We do not want to dip into this atmosphere, right? That's the big thing that we don't want at this moment. This craft is not designed for that. The little mini crafts are, but the overall craft absolutely is not. So, let me just get this rotated. Ish. It doesn't really need to be rotated, I suppose. But I just wanted to do that for, like, aesthetic reasons. Cool. Apparently the game decided to minimize by clicking on Steam. That was strange. I had the mouse, like, right here. I have no idea why it decided to do that. Now Steam has a menu open. Okay. There we go. Go away, Steam. Thank you. Fantastic. All seems to be good now, and we've still got another 50 seconds left in this burn, so a reasonably lengthy one. We are burning out a vast majority of the fuel in this tank. And of course, that also pulls from this tank. So that's fine. No real problem there. We do still have a lot of Delta V in this thing. A whole lot of Delta V. Each of these have like 300 Delta V in them as well. That's not really intended to guide their destination too much. We more determine that by re-entering them in different positions, right? That would be the goal. So realistically, once we have our splashdown done, we probably don't actually want to use the parachutes. Because we want to impact the ground. Okay, another roughly 5 meters per second here. I'm just watching our apoapsis here. This is good enough. Beautiful. So that'll do. We're reasonably close to our experiment control station. Although it is way up here. Definitely noted on that one. But that's reasonably fine. So at this point, we just park ourselves retrograde here. And where are we in respect to the Terminator? Okay, so this is a decent time to detach our first one of these guys. Excellent. So we're just going to decouple this and hope that we don't have any issues. That didn't decouple as cleanly as I had hoped. Okay. Interesting that when I throttled it up, it stopped jittering. Ooh, okay. I'm trying to separate it a bit here. Apparently we're still connected to that decoupler. Yeah, that's expected. Okay. This one is stuck. Cool. So, let's go ahead and get this one decoupled. And see if that cleans it up. There we go. Off goes this one now. And this one should go as well, eventually. There we go. Excellent. Cool. So this one is not going to be going into the atmosphere, right? Not yet. Let's go ahead and bring this guy on down to about 65 kilometers. There we go. And at this point, we can just begin to warp. Excellent. We want to keep it parked prograde. We're currently over Midlands, and looking at this, this is going to be a lot of land, it looks like. Pretty sure that's what's going on here. For the moment, we're going to physics warp on forward, keeping an eye on our electric charge, which should be fine. Realistically speaking. Now we're over the Explodium Sea. Now we're over Shallows. Now we're over the Explodium Sea again. Okay, I'm going to commence a burn here. Because I'd very much like to be over the Explodium Sea when we come in. And that's a good sign. That's a real good sign right there. So we're continuing this burn for the time being. The primary purpose of this burn is to keep us over the Explodium Sea, which we should be. Okay, so there's all of our fuel used up. There wasn't much fuel in there to begin with. But that's looking good. Okay, the impact biome is now Shallows, which I believe is not actually liquid. Now it's Midlands, now it's Highlands. Okay, that's not great. But we'll see. We'll see how this goes. If we're going to hit land, we want to impact and do as much, like, seismic activity as possible, right? And hopefully we can generate some seismic activity for this contract from that. We can get rid of all of these, but this contract here would be the one. Cool. Peaks, foothills, peaks, foothills. Yeah, looks like we're coming in over land. Although this is saying Shallows here. We'll see how accurate that really is. It's going up right now for the impact altitude. Which isn't necessarily a great thing. We'll see. So we're beginning to decelerate here. Yeah, impact ejecta now. Now it's going down, though. Crater Lake. Hopefully that's the case. Hopefully we end up hitting a lake. Because I want to get this contract done, and then we can start working on the other contract, right? We don't care if this burns off. That's completely and totally fine. Still showing as Crater Lake for our impact biome. We're really starting to slow down now, though. Really starting to slow down. We are over the Crater Lake right now, so this is looking good. This is looking absolutely excellent. We got a little lucky with this one, I think. Cool. So we are now slowed down enough. Eventually we'll get slowed down enough to use this chute. This is not a drogue chute. This is a regular chute. But we'll go ahead and use it now that we can. And from here, we will just physics warp on over. We shouldn't need SAS anymore. which means that we had plenty of electric charge. More than enough. So this should give us our splashdown. This does specifically say into an ocean of Eve, though. Crater Lake may not count. I guess we'll find out. That'll be interesting. But I don't believe this is going to be over land. If it is, if we can tell it's going to be over land when we come through these clouds, we'll cut the chute and try to get some seismic data. Let's see what we've got. It may just be looking for a splashdown. It may not be looking for an ocean biome. I don't know how that's coded. But we'll see. So we're going through the thicker portions of the atmosphere now, and very soon we'll be able to see down below us. Eventually. Just layer after layer of cloud here. But that's Eve for you. Okay. We're passing through the lowest layer of cloud, it looks like. This definitely looks like liquid to me. Beautiful. Hopefully this counts. That parachute is very off to the side. And we're falling very, very slowly now. Like, incredibly slowly. But that's okay. In theory, if this counts, this is the only time we're going to have to come in with a chute. And then the rest of these will just look for the surface-deployed seismic sensor science. So that'll be reasonably fine. And this is 4x time acceleration, but we're only falling at 1 to 2 meters per second. Out of curiosity, if we come out of physics warp, the parachute is still looking really weird. Okay, good to know. Good to know. Well, we'll just bring this one on down, and hopefully this will count as splashing down into the oceans of Eve. This thing is a very large lake, if it is indeed a lake, and I'm hoping it counts. We'll find out. So we're about 500 meters up, and since we're falling at what, around 4 meters per second, it's gonna take a bit yet. It's definitely gonna take a bit. This is unfortunately the fastest we can fall. So we've got what, like 100 meters or 100 seconds to go here? Almost 2 minutes. It's a long fall. I was definitely hoping that this would go a little faster, but here we are. It's a very light payload, so I guess that's not hugely shocking. But I'm very much hoping that this contract is fulfilled by this. Because if so, then we're just going to look to collect seismic sensor science for the rest of our... For the rest of our... what's the word I'm looking for? Microsatellites, I guess? They're not really satellites, though. They're definitely microcraft, but they're not satellites. I don't know. We're not going to be deploying the parachutes for them if this counts, though. So it should go much, 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 much faster. And hopefully we can get all of our surface-deployed seismic sensor science, but I'm not really holding my breath. This isn't a lot of mass. We'll see how much we can get. We've got about 80 meters to go here. This will definitely be a splashdown. The only question is, does Crater Lake count as an ocean? We'll see. Yes, it does. Fantastic. Contract complete. Okay. So, that of course means that we can hop out over here and hop to our Eve splashing machine probe. And we're going to look to bring this in as close as we can to our existing colony, right? I think we're going to want to orbit around, is my guess. How separate are we from the... Okay, not very separate from the Eve splashing machine. Good to know. We're going to want to bring this in pretty close. to the experiment control station. So ideally, we'd want to do something like... This is more delta V than we have, right? So we're going to want to bring this apoapsis in. Down to something kind of like... What is the amount that we have? 370? Okay. We should probably change our inclination on our overall craft for future launches, because this is not particularly good. But we'll just go ahead and warp on over to this. And this is about the best we can do, although we could theoretically push out our periapsis a bit more, but I think this is fine. I think this is reasonably fine. So this is going to burn basically our entire fuel reserve here for this craft. And we'll just warp forward a little bit. This one, we are not going to be using the parachute on. So we'll just burn this now. I don't know what's going on with this. This is weird. But whatever. Yeah, this is not burning the way I want it to. What is wrong with this maneuver? Flip. Oh, right. Everything is reversed. Okay. Yeah, I'm dumb. Everything is reversed on these. We need to be burning prograde, and then we need to be burning, I believe, anti-normal? Yes. It's not going to be perfect because I'm dumb, but it's okay. So we're going to flip around to prograde now. And let's commence our warp. So we're going to hop into the atmosphere here. There we go. And let's physics warp this on in. So we're not going to get very close, because I was dumb and forgot that these are mounted backwards. But it's okay. It is completely okay. So we're going to see if we can get anything here. We're over the Explodium C right now. But let's just see what we can get. We are accelerating for the moment. That will change very shortly. We're now decelerating. Cool. So I guess we'll see how much data we get here when we're quite a ways away. I'm not expecting a lot with the amount of mass this has, to be honest. But we'll see. And if we go into the sea, I don't think we're expecting any data at all, period. Our landing impact biome here is currently Crater Lake again. Hopefully that's not actually the case. We have a lot of slowdown to do here. Yep, we're landing before Crater Lake. Good. Very good there. So we bring this on down. As this comes in, it is about time to put a cut in here. I'm not going to do that until we have this guy landed, of course. Oh, Explodium C. Hopefully that's not the case. Okay, Midlands. Good. Much better. Much, much better. Okay. So we're bringing this on in, and after this lands, we'll see what data we get, and we will put a cut in at that point. While we're waiting for this to slowly drop on down, I will say you can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and let's continue to plummet here at a rate of about 800 meters per second when you factor in the time warp. So that shouldn't be too bad here. We're definitely going to explode on impact, I think. But that's good. That's what we want. Hopefully we pick up some sensor seismic data. This is like a quarter of a world away from us, though. So we'll see how much we actually get. Okay, we're now moving at about 100 meters per second as we move through the thickest portions of the atmosphere. Beautiful. So we're going to impact here. We are deliberately blowing this up. And let's see if we get any seismic data. We are a long ways away. We did get some. 0.01 science. Okay. Catastrophic failure. No, that was a catastrophic success. Beautiful. Catastrophic success. I like it. So we got a little bit of data from that. We're definitely going to need to land the other ones fairly close if we want to get actual data, I think. Because, yeah, that wasn't a lot. 0.001 science isn't great. We can see we got not even a full percent. So we're going to need to do better than that if we're going to complete that contract. But failing that contract isn't the end of the world. However, it is time for that cut, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, ALS Gamer, Ken2In, James, Shadowwolf, MLohan80, Kentogan, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Unisol, Kadra, Rogue Corvid, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.